it's Sandy Parker. Welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. Today we're going to make a quick, well, it's quick and it's not quick. It's a project that doesn't take very long to make, but there is a wait time involved. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be turning this doily, that I hope you can see in the light, we're going to be turning it into a bowl. And I'm not sure if you've seen it before where they've done this, but we're going to be doing it. Bought it at a thrift store, because I looked in other stores and I could not find doilies anywhere, which is kind of, I don't know, a sign of the times, I guess. Doilies aren't in anymore. But when I was a kid, it was one of those things where everybody had doilies under all of their, especially your grandmothers, had doilies under everything. And, you know, that went by the wayside with time. But it also, one of the crafts that we did when we were kids, we did a lot of things with doilies back then. We made doilies into all kinds of Christmas ornaments especially, and we also made doilies into things where, with Mod Podge, in the 70s, Mod Podge had just come out and everybody was decoupaging everything, and we were all learning all the different tips and tricks on decoupage. And one of the things that we figured out really quickly was that you can put material on decoupage items, and it worked great. So what we're going to be doing with this is we're going to cover the bowl first with some cling wrap, and of course the cling wrap box and I had a debate and it won, and that's typical for any projects with me that involves things like that. Okay, so the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to cover your bowl with your saran wrap, and you want to make sure that your saran wrap is pretty well adhered to it, like that. Then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take white glue and put a little bit of water in it, and I'll show you that step in a second. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to, I'm just using some Staples school glue that I bought when they were having a big special on it, and you can use Mod Podge. You could really use whatever you want as far as glues, but this is a washable school glue. No big investment there. And I had maybe, let's say, 1/4 of an inch of water in the bottom of my bowl. Wow, did you see that? I just shot that everywhere. What else is new? And the secret to this is making sure that you get your glue to dissolve enough into the water that it's not lumpy. And I might have to upgrade to a whisk. I thought this spoon would do a good job, but so far the clumping is winning. I think I'm just gonna go with it, and no, it's mostly the lumps are mostly out. I'm just gonna convince you that the lumps are mostly out. Okay, now what you're gonna do, I already had wet my little doily just a little bit, because I wanted to make sure that it was pliable enough to play in this gluey mess. And I didn't want it to be, I mean, I want it to be saturated, but I also wanted to be able to do this, which is wring it out. And I'm sure you can imagine my brute strength that I'm using here. If you have brute strength, it would come in handy in this project. I want to re-wet the areas that don't feel like they're wet enough, and then I'm going to squeeze it out again. Okay, and the secret to this project is making sure that your edges are really well coated and that you don't have any odd, what do I call it? We'll call it creases in our bowl. We want our bowl to really adhere. Well, we're going to call it a bowl. We want our doily to really adhere to the sides of our bowl. I have underneath it, I have a plastic placemat that I got. I'm telling you what, you will find the greatest uses for odd things like that when you're crafting. And if you ever go to a thrift store or a garage sale and you think to yourself, I wonder if I would use that for anything, buy it, because chances are you're going to regret later that you didn't buy it, versus say to yourself, oh crap, why did I spend that 1/4 on that thing when I'm never going to use it? You're going to use something. You'll find some use for it at some point. And in this case, I bought these placemats for, I think it was a 1/4 for 6 of them, and I use them underneath things so that I don't ruin the tops of surfaces. I use it for projects like this because I can wash it off really easily. I use it for all kinds of things, and also these spoons I bought. There was it was at like a church bazaar, and they had this huge box of these spoons, and my girlfriend said, "What are you going to do with all of those spoons?" And I said, "I don't know, but I'm going to come up with an idea. You know, it's going to work for me at some point. I'll come up with a plan for them." I also did that with some other crazy thing. Oh, I know what it was. Craft sticks that were really ugly colors. They're like bright green and bright orange and bright yellow. Same thing. She was like, "What are you going to do with 1,000 craft sticks?" But they were like 50 cents, and I thought, geez, I'll figure out something to do with them. And I think if you remember my metallic inks video where I made the pearlized inks, I used those crazy colored craft sticks in that. And sometimes they do bleed out, you know, like the color of them bleeds onto the project I'm doing, but oftentimes it doesn't. So it works for me. So I think for the most part we have this laying down. I was going to, and I still might, put another bowl on top of this to really make sure that it adheres to the bowl underneath, because I want to make sure that in the end that my shape stays. And right now I want to make, you know, I'm not exactly certain my shape will adhere, but I do have enough of the glue mixture on there, I'm sure of that. And what I don't have on it, I have on me. So it's a matter of if it's not on the project, it's clearly on my clothing. I just realized we just went shopping, and I looked down and I was wearing a big spot of glue on my pants, and I mean a big spot of glue. I don't even know where I got it from, but it was funny because, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy when you're crafting all the mistakes that you make that you end up wearing. Don't know about the rest of you. Maybe it's just me, but I do wear a lot of mistakes on my clothes. And I even have a crafting apron that I sometimes put on my lap, but 9 times out of 10 I forget about using it. I don't know why I forget things like that, but you know, all the things that make sense that I would use, I forget. The things that don't make sense, those things I remember, but the things that don't, I don't know. It's a mystery. Okay, so I think where we are right now is we're going to let it set and dry, and as it dries I'm going to continue to keep molding it down to make sure that you've got the impression so far. I might cut out some of this just because it's pretty repetitive, but you got the idea of where we're going. Is we're trying to make sure that our bowl adheres itself and becomes a bowl. You all got that idea. I know you do. And it might end up looking a little bit offside. I'm trying to make sure that my pattern that's on the bottom, or we'll say the middle, I guess, is the bottom of the bowl, so to speak. So that's where we stand right now. We're going to let this project dry, and we'll get back to it. So here's our little doily basket that we made. We added a bunch of glue and a little bit of water on the top of a bowl, and then after it dried it became a stiff doily, which made it into a bowl. I threaded some ribbon around through the edges of it, and then I'm going to zoom in on the top, and then I filled it with some ribbon and some balls, and it'll make a really nice Happy New Year or New Year's Eve decoration for around the house. Would have made a nice Christmas one, but I didn't get it done in time because it took forever for the glue to dry. And I will recommend that if you do this project, give yourself at least 3 days for your glue to dry. And I used 2 bottles of glue and part of a third because it really took a lot to make it stiff. But it is stiff enough to hold on to the things that are in it. Don't put anything heavy in it because it will not hold anything heavy. That's our project. I hope you like it. Hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe and check in with us for our next project, and it should be the next day or so. So thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.